All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome. This is the Real Estate Investing Mastery Podcast. Super glad you're here. And we've got a great episode today because we're going to be talking with Io about how to be a transactional engineer. And I hope you don't mind me using that title, Io. But I love the concept. Io's been doing a lot of lease option deals. And he sent me an email just showing me some of his deals that he did. And I said, hey, wait a second. Let's get you on the podcast and talk about some of these deals. But the cool thing about IO, what he's doing is he's not focusing just on lease options. He's focusing on finding motivated sellers, finding out what their situation is, and then making an offer that works for them and for him as well, right? So it's not just one strategy. He is the way he's doing it, and this is why it's so brilliant and so important for everybody to listen, that's listening, to pay attention to. Instead of getting 1 out of 20 or 30 offers accepted, why not get maybe 3 out of 20 or 30 offers accepted and triple your deal flow just by offering different solutions? Okay, so we'll get to that in a minute. I want to first tell you all, this podcast is brought to you by my book, Wholesaling Lease Options. You see the coffee stain on there too? I use it as it makes a great coaster as well. But you guys can get my book for free. If you have not gotten my book yet, you get it for free. It's called Wholesaling Lease Options, the fastest and easiest way to make money in real estate today, just flipping lease options. And I wrote this book from just what I've been doing since 2008. So over 11 years now. Lease options work in any market, and they work especially well when things start slowing down. There's a lot of uncertainty in the market. Things are slowing down. So you can get this book for free at WLObook.com. WLObook.com. Get it for free. Just pay shipping and handling, and we'll ship it out to you, okay? All right. So, Io, how are you, my man?
I am good, Joe. How are you?
Excellent. I'm really glad that you're here. By the way, anybody, you watching this right now, if you're watching this live, you can comment with your questions for Io and me in Facebook or YouTube, wherever you're watching this, and we will answer them if we have time at the end. Okay. So I'm glad you're here, man. Io, thank you for taking the time to be on the show.
No worries.
So where are you from?
Born and raised in New York, specifically Brooklyn, then grew up in the Bronx. And then after college in upstate New York, I moved to Pennsylvania, suburbs of Philadelphia. And let me see, I bought my first duplex. And after I graduated with my master's in business, so I house hacked with a duplex and then slowly started, I was doing the BRRRR method, refinance, buy, rehab, buy, rehab, rent, repeat?
Renovate. No.
Renovate, right.
Buy, rehab.
Right.
Rent, refinance, repeat.
There you go. Yep.
Come on. Got it. All right.
So obviously with that method, it's a nice, sure method, but if you're trying to do it faster, obviously you would have to be creative because all those things, when there's a bank involved, it's going to involve your credit, money, and a whole other stuff that the banks would like to see. So it kind of forced me and my wife to find a way to be more creative if we're trying to quit our jobs and be financially free. The goal was never to be a millionaire. It was just to be financially free so that just like you and your family have a business that's automated, systemized, it's running without us being there so that we can do what we want to do best, which is to travel, create memories, have something for our sons to have, and just enjoy life.
And keep our expenses low. I mean, is there any other business where you can make the money that we do with the low overhead that we have? Isn't that amazing?
Super amazing.
By the way, I'm sharing this right now with folks on Facebook.
Nice.
So if you guys are watching this right now on Facebook or YouTube, say hello in the comments right now. Say hello and just tell us where you're from, and we'd love to say hi to you. Okay, cool. So talk about IO. What year did you start doing deals in?
So let's see. So since 2012, I think so by 2017 is when I went online. I learned about creative real estate. Like I've heard about it before through Bigger Pockets. I've been listening to Bigger Pocket podcast since 2014 after I read Rich Dad Poor Dad. I stumbled on Bigger Pockets. I listened to all their podcasts. I think you were featured on one, and I came across you not too long in 2017 in the fall. I saw a couple videos you did on YouTube. I think I saw some too with Claude Diamond, and I was like, I gotta reach out to Joe and get more info. You seem like I related with you. You seem really down to earth. There was no upsell, no wait, there's more. It was pretty simple, pretty straightforward. And I was like, I can relate with Joe. Let me get to learn more. And so that's when I reached out to you back in the fall of 2017. And then not too long after that, we did our first lease option in when was it, September of 2018. So
Nice.
So there was a gap, but I didn't give up. I know I reached out to you and Gavin, and just from continually learning, listen to more podcasts. I'm pretty sure you know Whitney nicely.
Yeah.
Like I checked out what she was doing too, joined her course, and I kind of like put everything together. And before I knew it, we were making some deals.
I like Whitney. She talks about buying happy houses.
Right.
Okay, so cool, guys. I just want to show you all some comments we're getting from here. Glenn Matheny says, good afternoon. Jeff says, hey, Joe shipped me the book and I got a deal in 35 days.
Wow.
Love that. From Periscope, too. Skip, good afternoon. Thanks for being here. Nat from Maryland. So we got a good question from Derek. I'll answer that later. Shaq, I believe, from Norfolk. Brian from Cincinnati. Kay from Maryland. Rockville, Maryland. Fort Worth, Texas. Kelly from Kansas City. Isn't this awesome that we could do this?
That is.
Will from Florida, up here in Philadelphia for a couple weeks. Bobby from New Jersey. David from Dallas. Nice. Roper. Okay. Good. Some more questions here from other folks. We'll get to that in a minute.
Okay.
I just wanted to, let me hide the comments here. How do I do that? There we go. Okay. Got our names on there. So Io, what do you, how many deals a month do you average right now? Or in the last few months, what have you been doing?
So let's see. So wholesaling, because we started our first, I started my first wholesale. I received my first whole check rather in March. This was a lead that came in late last year, and with this seller, she lives in New York. I sent her a ringless voicemail, and from one property, it turns out she had 3 properties she wanted to get rid of. Out of those 3, 2 were lease options that I currently have, and 1 was a wholesale deal that we closed on this past March for close to $14,000. Okay. And then, so sorry, to answer your question, we did for lease options, we were able to do, we had 1 lease option in September ending, then we had another one in October, and then another one, I believe, in early December. And then this year we had wholesaling. We had our first wholesale check for March. Second one we closed in, what was the March? I think April. So I think it's like, it seems like every month and a half. And I'm trying to make it much more consistent. And that's where now that we're starting to see, because I already have 1 pending, after we're done, I'm going to call the title company to find out, are we closing this week or next week? And we have 2 that are currently 2 contracts signed. Those are also wholesale. I already have the buyers lined up. So now that I'm seeing a consistent flow, I'm trying to now move on to hiring a VA. Yeah,
good. Somebody's asking me to raise my mic up a little bit, so I'm going to get it closer. Can you all see that? Ooh, I got a fancy one. All right, so sorry about that. You guys should hear me better, a little better now. So Io, talk about why, you mainly make wholesaling offers, right? When a seller first comes in from your marketing, you approach it with like a cash offer, which I think is great. Talk about why you do that. And then how do you, if they can't take your cash offer, how do you transition it into a more creative offer? Does that make sense?
It makes sense. And I learned this again from you when I reached out to you and joined your course back in 2017. There's, as you know, Joe, there's a plethora of ways of getting into real estate, a number of ways. So rather than try to figure everything out, I just like to just know enough so that I approach each deal. Like I mentioned, I told you before, I approach each deal with the intention to wholesale it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, depending on that seller situation, if wholesaling doesn't make sense because they don't have, like, the equity is just a bit too slim, but they are very motivated, then that's where, and I learned this from you, where I offer them 3 offers. It can be cash, which is the wholesale, or lease option, or sandwich lease option, or financing.
Yeah.
So it all depends on their situation. Sometimes it could end up being a subject to, which is very advanced, or in other creative ways. So it all just starts with the intention to wholesale it, and then depending on that seller situation will determine what exit strategy we will use.
What would you say, like, what percentage of the leads that you get would be a good would take your cash offer or take a more creative financing offer?
So I've noted percentage for the ones that would take the cash offer, it's usually, I've seen, like, it's usually people who are out of state and the property it needs serious work. The sellers who do take the creative one, the house doesn't need that much work. They may be in state or out of state, but I mean, if we're talking numbers, I would say it's like right now, kind of like 75 to 25, with the 75 being wholesale and the 25 being lease options.
Mm-hmm. I used to, I've tested this before too. I used to send out marketing. Well, first I started with the typical direct mail marketing that everybody does. Hey, I want to buy your house, and got good responses from that. Then I changed it to, hey, I want to lease option your house. If you're a tired landlord, then I'd be willing to lease your property with an option to buy it. So I changed my marketing message to be more of a lease purchase message, and I saw my response rates dramatically drop. And I did the same with my text messages and emails to Craigslist and Zillow. I used to send out, hey, if you want to sell your house, call me. I'd like to talk with you, or whatever. And that worked good, right? Then I changed it to test it, and I did a lease option message, but my responses went way down. I prefer the approach, and I think you're right on, of sending out marketing that's really clear and simple that will get the most responses back. Like, hey, I want to buy your house. Call me if you're interested in selling, right? And if you talk to enough sellers and you make enough offers, you'll find the sellers that are motivated. That's all you need. You don't need equity. You need motivation, right? And that's a great thing about being a transactional engineer, is you're just out there finding motivation. You don't care about equity at all.
Nope.
To traditional wholesalers, 95% of the investors out there, they're looking for motivation and equity. Well, what if there was a way you could do deals if you had motivation but very little equity, right? That's a great thing about this. So I like how you're approaching this marketing with more of like, hey, do you want to sell your house? Let's talk, right?
Right.
What are some of the questions that you ask them, Io, to kind of feel out where they're at and what kind of deal that they would be best for them?
So, because I cold call. My marketing strategy is a combination of cold calling / ringless voicemails, which is because I know for certain states, RVMs have a certain flag. So I make sure mine is very targeted, like very targeted. It's those highly motivated lists, like pre-foreclosures or probates, or what is it? Pre-foreclosure, probates, a house that's seriously distressed, things like that. And sending postcards through Deal Machine, where it has a picture of their house. I'm actually taking a step further, where I'll actually put like a selfie with me in front of their house. Like, so it's not like they're getting a picture of their house, but it's a guy and their house.
That's a great idea. Yeah.
So now you're like, huh? And I'm like pointing at their house, like smiling. I do a thumbs up while I'm pointing at the back of the house, and it's like, hey, it says the traditional thing, like how a Deal Machine would have, like, I'm interested in buying your house, and I've noticed that works. Now I only do that method only if I try to skip trace and the numbers don't work, or I'm not getting anything back, then I will use that as another means. But that definitely works. And when they pick up the phone and when they call me, it's like, hey, I got your postcard or I got your voicemail. Those usually it's which property you talking about, and then after we go through all that, it's like they tell me, yeah, I'm interested in selling. What do you have in mind? And I tell them, well, I have a couple of questions to ask you first before I can give you an offer. Then we go through the whole breakdown, like, so, have you done any work to the property recently? It usually comes down to, I know Brent Daniels mentioned this, his 4 pillars of qualification: price, condition, motivation to sell, and I know I'm missing one. I always miss one. Price, condition, motivation to sell, and time. Was it
timeliness, like how quickly they need to sell it?
Right. So I'm asking them I asked them all 4 of those within that first few minutes of talking, and if all those 4 check off, then I know it's a deal. And then from there, it's just I kind of put the house aside, and I'm just trying to build that rapport and say, so tell me more. Like, what's your situation? Like,
what a great question.
Right. Like, so
somebody type that question in the comments. What did Io just say? Type that question in the comments. This is one of the best questions you could ever ask a seller. By the way, we're getting some great comments in here. Let's see if anybody caught that question. Let's see if anybody caught that question. By the way, guess who's in the house? Claude Diamond.
Oh.
Claude Diamond's in the house.
Well, that's awesome.
And other people are saying, always enjoy the Masters, Claude. There we go. What's your situation? Carl's got it here. What's your situation? Yeah. Claude even pitched in here. Time frame. Yeah, that's what you need to know. How quickly. So what I like to ask him is, what's your situation? What would you like to see happen? And if I can make that happen, how quickly do you need to sell your house? Right. Those 3 I don't care about the house. I really don't. I care about their situation, their motivation. Why do they need to sell this house? How quickly do they need to sell their house? Right. Very good. Glenn Matheny's got it here. What's your situation? Why are you selling? Excellent. And okay, cool. So when you start talking to them, they start telling you their situation. Where do you go from there? What do you do?
They tell me their situation. I regurgitate it back to them. I would say, so from what you're telling me, and I'll just throw an example. So for what you're telling me, you're trying to sell this house because you live out of state. It's too far. You're tired of going back and forth to trim the grass. You don't want to be an out of state. Like whatever it is they tell me, I regurgitate it back to them just to make sure like we're on the same page. And when they say, yes, that's it, that's exactly what's going on, that's when I say, okay, so if we can come to a number that makes sense for you and me, how soon, would you be ready to move forward if I send you an agreement? I always say agreement rather than contract. Agreements much more friendlier. Contract seems so constrictive. And when they tell me, hey, yeah, like I'll be ready now, I just tell them, okay, then depending on the situation, I can just say, when can we meet? If they live at a different state, then obviously I'll just go check on it. But if I already done my research on the property, I would ask them, well, what number did you have in mind? A cool technique that I've done recently when I am going to meet with the seller, because a lot of sellers would like to, put a face behind the voice on the phone. And if the rapport has been built, it's no, I don't say no. I tell them, sure, let's meet. I look for the place in a house where it has a lot of bad damage. This happened last weekend where this guy's duplex is on the first floor, the kitchen ceiling caved in.
Really?
Yeah. So we went up and down, looking at the house. I wasn't even saying much about the house. Like while he's showing me the house, I'm listening. I've learned to just keep quiet, let them talk, let them sell me. And then while he's showing me the house and I'm asking him why sell it? Why not sell it with a real estate agent? Why not sell it yourself? Why not fix it? And when he's answering all those questions with, no, I don't have the time, I don't have the money, I'm already gearing him up to let him realize like I'm your best bet when numbers are exchanged. So I made sure we negotiated right in that kitchen on the first floor where it was in bad shape. So when we met at the kitchen, it's like, so, what price did you have in mind? And while I'm saying, I'm not looking at him when I said I'm looking at the kitchen, at the ceiling that came. I'm like, so what price did you have in mind? It's like, and because it's like, I know you said you wanted this number, where are you now? And he's like, you know what? I think, and now he starts negotiating on himself as opposed to me having to throw that first number.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. Just asking a lot of questions, right?
Correct.
Ask probing questions. In fact, God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason.
Right.
We need to listen more than we talk.
Right.
And I found this so true. If you find yourself convincing a seller why they should sell their house to you, or convincing a seller why they should do a lease option, you're talking to the wrong seller. They're just not motivated right now and ready to do a deal. And that's okay, right? It's okay.
Right.
By the way, we have a special guest coming on soon. And I've been texting him or her. And we'll see if he can do it. Let me. Okay, I just sent it to him again a different way. All right, Io. So talk about some of the marketing that's working good for you today. I know you talked a little bit about driving for dollars, but what other type of marketing are you doing?
So in the beginning, what I did, I spent probably tens of thousands of dollars on doing direct mail, yellow letter, and I wasn't really seeing a return on my money back, only because I was pretty much pulling lists from people that weren't really motivated. This is me, just learning and doing what everyone else is doing. So now I kind of scale back on that. And my best marketing strategy, honestly, is I find, and I learned this again. I mean, this is maybe a shameless plug, but it is what it is. Like, I learned the creative side from you, and it just trickled down from other mentors that I've learned along the way, like Whitney Nicely, Joe Bodek, and such. But I look for the hottest zip codes in my area where the cash buyers are buying properties, and I just go and drive in those areas with my Deal Machine app. And there's 9 out of 10, you'll find houses that's not even on lists that you can buy online. So as opposed to the old Flintstone method of yellow paper, writing down the address of the house, maybe even taking a picture, with technology like Deal Machine, I just take a picture. Now it's all there, and I just keep it moving. When I come home, I'll export that list. I'll skip trace it, and then I just start cold calling.
That's good.
That's all I do.
You mentioned mentors, and I think this is important to talk about because we have one of my mentors on the line with us here, and I'll get him on in just a minute. I feel like a radio DJ host. So I'm going to get Claude Diamond on.
Yeah, that's
How
cool.
about, come on, Claude Diamond. What is going on?
Let me get this right. Ooh, camera's tough. Here
Claude
we go. I'm glad I got a haircut.
Yes, we're glad you did too, Claude. How are you, sir?
I'm good, man. I enjoyed listening to you guys. Very good stuff. Very informative. I love that you're talking about sales and negotiation and questions to ask and everything. To me, that's the lifeblood of this business.
Absolutely. It is. Learning how to talk to sellers is really important. But Claude,
$1 million skill.
It's $1 million skill. Yes.
You could have the best leads, the best computers, the best employees, but it all comes down to, can I get on that phone and make a connection with that person?
Yes.
The man, the myth. Oh, thank
you. Right. So, but Claude, we're talking about how to talk to sellers, but Io mentioned something there that I thought was really important. I've often said the most important real estate you'll ever invest in are the 4 inches in between your ears, right? You've got to invest in yourself and invest in your education. And Io has done that. And that's one of the big reasons why he's successful. He's doing deals. He's bought my stuff. He's bought other courses and programs from Joe Bodek and Whitney Nicely and some other people. Maybe you, I don't know.
Clyde, yeah, I did.
Yeah, okay.
I listen, I still read books. I just finished a book from Grant Cardone on sales and stuff like that. I watch Joe. I love your podcast, Joe. Nobody has a monopoly on all the knowledge in the world. There's always new ideas, new techniques, and things like that. Thank you, Glenn Matheny. You like my haircut. I got it real short for the summer here. But you never stop learning. And if you think you know everything there is to know, you're not going to keep moving forward in this business.
I just spent I'm not going to say, but it was in the multiple thousands of dollars in figures to go to a mastermind. Are you in San Diego right now, Claude?
No, I'm in my summer home here in Colorado.
I'm flying to San Diego tomorrow.
Okay, watch out for the earthquakes, Joe.
Yeah, I know. But I still invest in my education myself. It is so important because it's important to kind of stay on the cutting edge and figure out what's working well. And one of the cool things that you get from other mentors is like these mentors are coaching other people all around the country as well. And we pick up on things that some of our students are doing that are really working well right now.
It's a secret. Don't tell them that.
And we get to like share that with our other students, right? I mean, I do this all the time. Some of the best stuff that I've learned have come from other students that are doing deals like Io, right? Io just shared something. I don't know if you guys are listening or not, but he does a little bit of driving for dollars, and he does a selfie with the phone with the picture of him with the house behind him, right? Can you see my phone there? And sends that picture in a postcard through the driving for dollars app to the sellers. And what a great way to add like a little personal touch to your marketing, right? So
every person I talk to, I usually send either an audio or a video email follow-up with the contract attached or a letter of intent or something. I try to make it very personal and put a face.
Yeah.
A face with the offer all the time. I think that's just good. That's smart marketing.
Yeah, it is. So, Claude, we were talking about kind of how to talk to sellers, right? Could you walk through real quickly, because I think this would be good for everybody listening, the stair step. Can you cover from a high level the stair step you take sellers through and the guts sales system where you set the agenda from the very beginning? Could you cover that?
Sure. I'm a big believer. I study a lot of psychology. Okay. Dealing with how do I persuade a total stranger to see me as different from my competition, to say, hey, this is a good idea. Maybe this is a nice guy. Maybe this is a trustworthy, honest person. Maybe they have that. They can give me value. Maybe they sound different. And so I rather than give presentations, which everybody else does initially, I do to what Io was talking about. I go into a question base. First thing I do is set a roadmap or something like that. We call it an agenda. And say, Io, can I ask you a few questions? Maybe we can do business today. And you ask me a few, and I'd love to see us somehow figure out a way to solve your problem. And maybe we can do a contract today. And then you ask me a few questions. And if we have a meeting of the mind, let's do business. And if not, I want you to feel comfortable enough to fire me. Can you do that for me? And boom. So I've just set that up. That's the preamble or the premise. It's called the agenda step there. And somewhere I'm going to fit that in. Then I'm going to do what you guys were just talking about, the qualification for the time frame. What is this something do you want to buy or sell a home now in the next 30 days or 30 years? I don't want to waste time with somebody who's going to, not ready to do business today. I'm a today guy. Do they have the money or the ownership of the home, the asset to do that deal today? Do they have the authority to make a decision today? Do they have is there motivation? Is it a 1, 2, or 3, or an 8, 9, or 10? And if it's a 4 or 5, can I make it an 8, 9, or 10? And do they have the character to give a commitment today, even for another meeting, for an appointment or something? And this is the qualification step on a little staircase. And you got to, and this is really the most important part. Can you learn to ask questions without sounding like you're cross-examining them? Can you have that nice, those comfortable conversations like we're having right now, just nice conversations, and everybody, and when you have a conversation with a person, I call it the adult to adult conversation. I think you get true rapport, respect, mutuality, and then you can move to the third step, and that's where you get commitment to close. Mm-hmm. And that's where in one phone call you can actually get another appointment, another meeting, a contract, or the magic word yes. In 3 simple steps. But you got to learn the baby steps, and you've got to learn to ask questions that don't feel abrasive to people. In my, nobody wants to be questioned like the cop just pulled them over, but they love to have a nice, honest dialogue.
That's good.
3 steps. That's all you need.
It's really simple. I love it. And that's why I wanted Claude on here, right? To talk about.
Thank you so much. I didn't mean to interrupt you, bro. You guys were great to listen to. I was listening. I saw that little notification. Oh, Joe's on. Let me hear what he's got to say. You always got good information, Joe.
Claude, let us ask you one or two more questions. I know you're real busy. We were talking about at the beginning, like IO's doing some marketing, getting some leads coming in. And one of the things I like about what he's doing is he just doesn't have one offer to give to the seller, right? Like he's not looking for equity. Like so many investors out there are looking for high motivation and high equity, right?
It's a needle in a haystack sometimes.
Right. So, but he's just looking for sellers with motivation. Then he can make multiple different offers depending on their situation and what they need, right?
Exactly.
Claude, what are you seeing right now from 30,000 feet in the market in terms of creative deals like lease options or owner financing and stuff like that? Is it becoming easier to do it now in this market, or why aren't more people doing it? Which is kind of blows me away thinking about. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I thought last summer. In the old days, summers used to be a little slow for us, honestly. Last summer was very good. This summer is spectacular. Word of honor. Mm-hmm. We're just coming off the best June in the history of my company. In July, we're off to a really great start right now. I think here's the way I look at it. Real estate is a big field. We have buyers, we have sellers, we have investors, we have other professionals in it. People have problems in real estate. I look at this as I'm the doctor of real estate. I have solutions to your problems. You go to your doctor, he's not just going to always give you the same cough drop. He might give you penicillin. He might give you physical therapy. We have to get enough information from people and offer them multiple solutions. We can, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Prospect, I can give you price, I can give you terms. You want full price, I can give you full price, but I need you to hold the mortgage subject to the existing mortgage, or maybe if you're comfortable, we could structure a rent to own, whatever makes you comfortable. So I'm working with people. Some people want cash, some people want price, some people want a little passive income, some people just want to get out of the deal, the ones we all love. We have to be versatile enough to offer multiple strategies. That's why we can never stop learning. And we have to ask the questions so we can qualify this prospect and then say, Mr. or Mrs. Prospect, if I could help you get that price, but I asked in return that you were flexible on these terms. Do you think we could move forward today? Mr. or Mrs. Prospect, well, what would you like to see happen today? Are you looking for cash? Are you looking for a price? Are you looking to save real estate commission? I need information. I need to find motivation, create motivation, and exacerbate motivation. And if they're just living in the house, oh, well, we're not really interested in, we're in no rush or anything. That's someone who's so low on the, what I call the gut scale or the motivation scale. I'm probably going to get off the phone very quickly. Maybe I'll follow up with them in 30, 60, 90 days because their motivation could change. But I tend to try to not be on the phone, every phone call, 45 minutes with every person explaining how a light bulb works. I really want to find out what's their needs and are they ready to take an action today?
That's good.
I'm a today guy. Was that too long-winded? I'm sorry.
No, perfect. Io, do you have any questions for me or Claude while we've got you on here?
Oh, I'm just absorbing this. This is like, I'm like kind of pinching myself. It's like I have Claude and Joe. Like, I'm just listening, absorbing everything in.
Well, good. I met Claude. Well, I'm trying to figure out where I found you first, Claude. It was probably on YouTube.
Where did we meet? I don't know.
I know I saw some earlier videos with you guys earlier this year, and Claude, I know you get a lot of people calling. We actually spoke earlier this year because I have it right here, your 3 steps. As you're explaining it, it's always right here. I have my little hourglass, so when I'm talking to a seller, if none of those things are there, well, before the hourglass, yep, I have mine still. So I already know, like, if we have a deal or not. If it's no deal, I kind of gently, politely say, hey, I got to go. I have another call to make.
Mm-hmm.
Let's follow up maybe in a few days. But yeah.
Which is so good. Why is it so hard for people to pull away? You know, it's like I'm coaching people constantly all the time. Well, the seller wants $25,000 down. What do I do? It's like, it's not that hard. Just pull away.
Right.
Just
Or
tell the seller,
renegotiate or make offers.
yeah.
Right.
Say, you know what, Mr. Prospect, Joe, if you know what, $25,000, if I was in your position, I'd feel the exact same way. Here's the problem right now. I'm involved in so many other deals, and that's a great deal of capital up front. And I'm not arguing with you. Is there some way we could finance that 25,000, 5,000 down now, another 5,000 in 6 months, another 5,000 in the following 6 months, and then a balloon in 18 months? That wouldn't be comfortable for you, would it, Joe? Same deal, but we just spread out the money a little and make this happen right now. How do you feel about that?
I like that.
Boom.
I like that.
Yeah,
so
always, go ahead.
Well, I forgot what I was going to say. I'm looking at these comments.
It's over. You know,
yeah.
It's I can always negotiate, or it can't hurt to ask.
Right.
That's the thing. Stay on the phone, ask a lot. Well, I can't do it this way, or I really respect you asking for that, but that's not as comfortable for me. Could we try it this way or that way? And this is why having a lot of different strategies.
Yeah.
And the thing about it is, I think psychologically we have to get comfortable on the phone.
Yeah.
If I love talking to strangers, my mom said the same thing your guys' mom said. Don't talk to. I love getting on the phone with people and seeing if I can turn garbage into chicken salad. Okay, there's another way to say that, but I won't say it. It's a family show. But the thing about it is, if you look forward to getting on the phone and you don't have that nervousness or hesitation, and it just comes from learning systems like we're talking about and practicing, the more people you speak to, the statistically, the greater the chance that you're going to make a deal happen today.
Yeah.
That's why I love talking to people every day. I talk to people, all kinds of different people, texting, email, phone calls, appointments, things like that. The more people I talk to, the greater the opportunities.
How many a day?
Minimum 5.
5 sellers a day.
And it can be a lot more than 5. See, if it's fun, if you enjoy it. I could have been retired years ago, honestly. I love this business. This is so much fun for me. When I talk to a total stranger and we have that, you know, that when you have that nice, comfortable conversation, when you're talking to there's that mutual adult to adult respect. And, you know, there's certain things that I do that I teach about the psychology of persuasion and influence. But if I can make it a comfortable conversation and the person starts to, I feel there's this trust or likability between the parties. It's so much easier. Even if they say no, and I get off the phone and I know I tried my best, I have enough enthusiasm to make that next phone call and the one after that too.
That's good.
My greatest fear, Joe, is that people are not making enough marketing phone calls.
They're not talking to enough sellers, right? Because it's a numbers game, kind of, but it also just takes a lot of practice. And the more you do it, the better you get, the more practice you get.
And to your credit, Joe, you are so good at teaching people how to generate leads, how to automate that lead system, how to get quality leads. You're fantastic at that. But can they take those leads then and get on the phone and get into those discussions where offers and negotiations are being made?
Right.
By the way, everybody, if you want to learn the best way to get leads, go to zcodejoe.com. zcodejoe.com. Just created a course and released it about a few weeks ago called the Z Code. And it's all about how to get more leads than you can handle on Zillow. So make sure you go check that out. Just a shameless plug. And I guess I get to do that, isn't it? Because this is my podcast.
It's your show. You can do whatever you want.
Listen, guys, we got just a couple more minutes here. Claude's been really gracious with this time, as have you.
Thank you for inviting me. I didn't mean to barge in here.
Well, this is good. Do you mind if you just see if anybody has questions and we can ask them to all three of us?
Yeah, as long as you get me out in the next 10 minutes or less. Okay.
Okay, good. Glenn just says here, 5 calls a day keep the bill collectors away.
Yeah.
Amen to that, right?
Yeah.
Bobby's just getting over fear. Carrie says, indeed, this is my battle right now. Getting on the phone. This helps. Thanks for this live, right? Claude always talks about, don't treat the phone like a cactus.
Yeah.
It's not.
Have fun. Be the doctor on the phone. Ask people, why are we talking today? What is your biggest challenge? What is your problem?
Yeah.
You have a beautiful home. Why are you selling it? Gee, you're in a nice apartment. Why don't you stay in that apartment? Turn the prospect into the salesperson. Let them do all the talking.
That's really good.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody's asking, what service do you use for skip tracing?
For skip tracing, I use batchskiptracing.com.
Yeah, we do too.
And for
batch skip tracing.
For RVMs, I do reirail.com.
reirail.com. Cool. We don't do much RVMs or ringless voicemails right now. We do it for follow-up leads, but not for new leads. This is a question from Mark. With remote wholesaling lease options, Joe and Io, how are you handling the process of finding a tenant buyer? Are you using a realtor or is the seller showing the property? How do you do it, Io?
I almost got out-of-state property under lease option. Had I moved forward, I would have hired. There was many ways to attack that, but my first step would have been to find a realtor, offer them the first month's rent, have them show the property to the prospects, and then go from there. Another way you could just have, if you built enough good rapport with your seller, you can have the seller put a lockbox on the property. You pre-qualify your tenant buyers, the ones who qualify your test, have them go look at it. So it all depends on your comfortability and how you want to approach it. But my first would probably have a realtor handle that.
Claude, what do you do when you're doing a deal out of state?
I try to find somebody, one of my students, a mentee who I've done business with before. I'd love to let them share in the profit, but they have to do the legwork and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
The way you learn this business is by doing it. So I'd rather contact one of my students. Sometimes if I don't have a student, or this is a deal that needs a certain amount of expertise, I might find a local realtor. Easier said than done. Or on some occasions, I'll actually hire an attorney.
Yeah. Okay. One of the things that I've done before is I've gone to Craigslist and looked for somebody advertising. If it's a lease option house, I'll go look to Craigslist, look for somebody who's already advertising lease option properties, and I'll contact them and I'll say to them, listen, I've got a deal here. If you can help me market the property and find a buyer for it, could we split the deal and work something out? Yeah. And I've done that more with owner financing subject to deals, right? Because if it's a subject to or an owner financing deal, I'd rather close that with a good title company or an investor-friendly attorney. Yeah. And a lot of times the guys that are already doing those deals have those resources already. So my big advice is find somebody that is already doing it in that virtual market and partner with them, contact them and say, hey, listen, what if we did something together here where I get the deals under contract, give them to you, and you do all the legwork of selling it and showing it and all of that. And then, you can share in the profits of the deal, but you'll also at the same time learn how they're doing the deals in that market. Maybe they have a special lease that they use that they have to have in that local market. Maybe there's special rules and regulations that you wouldn't know anything about. So
good advice.
Yes. Cool. So I got a question here. Eric is asking to go over that 3-step process again, but you can watch this video later in YouTube or in Facebook, or it's going to be soon a podcast at realestateinvestingmastery.com. Real estate investing. By the way, you all are watching this on YouTube or Facebook. If you've not subscribed to my podcast, what are you, crazy? Do you hate money? Go to whatever your podcast player is and do a search for Real Estate Investing Mastery and subscribe to it and listen to it. A couple more questions here real quick. Okay, well, we've answered a lot of these already because I've been kind of tying them in. Boy, a lot of questions and comments here. This is awesome. Let me just go down.
People participate.
Oh, yeah, it is. Okay, here's one from Glenn. Where do you guys see the market heading in the next year or two?
Ooh, get my crystal ball.
Yeah. How about Claude? You go first on that one.
Well, here's the first thing. I don't care.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing.
I've made money in up or down markets. Nobody, no matter, and I've, after 2008, and I'm older than you guys, I've been through some of the other ups and downs and things like that. Nobody stops eating because of the economy. We may not go out and get filet mignon, but if the market is bad, and the same thing with housing. Nobody wants to, everybody has to live somewhere. Okay. There's always money. You can look at Warren Buffett. Does he make money? What does he do when there's a crash? He
buys up.
Buys more.
He buys more. Why? I've been doing this stuff a long time. Knock on wood, I have never lost a dime on any piece of property on a long-term basis. Never. I've always made money in real estate. Have I made mistakes? Yes. But that's why you buy on the right terms and you buy for the right price. The money's made. The deal is done at the buy or the control or the option, whatever you use. But regardless of the market going up or down, you can make money either way. But to answer Glenn's question, I think it was Glenn, I see the economy. We're going into a presidential election year. Historically, Congress and politicians don't like to see the economy go down during a re-election year. Economy is doing fantastic right now. Deficit is very high, but people are working. Unemployment is historically very low right now. So if you're going based on the facts and everything, we're in very good shape right now going into 2020. So I'm going to remain cautiously optimistic.
Yeah, I agree. I think, though, as the market does change, as the housing market changes, and it's local, every market's different, but all the more important time to understand creative financing, right? It's so much more important to understand how to do lease options or subject twos or owner financing, because, all the other wholesalers and investors out there, they're one trick pony. They only have one thing that they can offer to a seller. And there's going to be a lot more motivation as sellers start, they're used to just having the house sit on the market for 1 or 2 months max. Now we're starting to see houses sit on the market for 3 to 4 months. That's scaring people, and you need to be able to offer them different options.
I'm in Winter Park, Colorado now. This is my summer, my vacation home. I live in San Diego. When I first came here 23 years ago, dogs were sleeping in the middle of the road. It was a sleepy little town, undiscovered country, I call it. Right now, they are selling $700,000 condos a mile away from the ski area. Okay.
That's
and
amazing.
There's a demand for it. All the builders have come into this town. They're building $1 million custom homes. They're building very small homes under $1 million, and people are buying them right now. Their money is out there. Interest rates are historically very low. The Fed did an adjustment a couple of weeks ago. Is there going to be an adjustment? Yeah, I only know 2 things about real estate. It goes up and it goes down. And it's great if we knew the exact moment when it happens. You have to prepare for it and have enough strategies and tricks up your sleeve so you can adjust for any market conditions.
Good. Io, what do you think?
I agree wholeheartedly. I agree.
Well, good.
It's the greatest business in the world.
Yes.
I love it. All right. So, Claude, how can people get a hold of you? How can people get a hold of you real quick if they want to?
You're a handsome and intelligent audience. All they got to do is Google Claude Diamond and they'll find me. I've got almost 1,000 videos on YouTube now.
I'm going to pass you someday on that. I hope you know.
I love doing YouTube videos. It makes the phone ring and stuff. It's just good social media marketing. It's my method of choice for marketing. And just Google Claude Diamond and go to my webpage. I got free books and stuff there. And thank you so much for inviting me, Io and Joe.
Thank you, Claude. It was good seeing you.
Great, man. Thanks for all the good information.
All right. We'll see you later, Claude.
Bye-bye.
So, Io, thanks for being on this call today. I know this podcast took a strange direction. I saw.
Oh, that's fine.
I thought it would be good for you to actually hear some of what Claude was going to be talking about.
That was awesome.
But congratulations to you, man, for taking action like you are. investing in your education, investing in yourself, and just getting out there and making it happen, not taking any excuses and just doing it, right? Good
Absolutely.
for you, man.
I
Congratulations.
would recommend for anyone, because I've heard about this book. I just finally bought it like 2 weeks ago, Never Split the Difference.
Ah, good book. Yeah.
I like listening to that before I make my calls, even before meeting with sellers, over and over. Like some chapters I have to play it again because it's an Audible, I actually read through it much faster. So for anyone who hasn't read that book, get the Audible, Never Split the Difference. Great book. I recommend that.
I recommend that too as well. Very good book. Io, how can people get a hold of you if they want to?
Sure. So like my name on the screen, you can find me on Facebook. I'm also on Instagram, LinkedIn, all those good formats.
Nice. Good. Go to, that's how I found you, I think, or you messaged me and we communicated on Facebook. That's good. Yep. Hey guys, real quick, before we end this call, just let us know what you think of this podcast. I'm curious to know, do you like this format? Do you like how I interview people, release it later as a podcast? Do you like the questions, the interaction that we have? Let me know what you think. If you like this, please comment down below, and I would really appreciate it. I think these kinds of podcasts are really helpful because normally, I just interview people live on the podcast, and actually nobody else is listening or watching, right?
Right.
And then I release it as a podcast, and we get thousands of downloads for every episode we do. But it's good to get the live interaction and feedback here on Facebook and YouTube. I think this is really cool. And I hope you all listening to this podcast aren't angry or mad that I'm talking to Facebook and YouTube people right now. So this is primarily first a podcast for real estate investing mastery. And then secondarily, I like to get it on Facebook and YouTube as well. But good. We're getting some good comments here. Kay saying, love the interviews. Very helpful. Glenn is saying, yes, nice quality, Joe. I like that. Brittany's saying it's amazing. Glenn Matheny, excellent book. You're talking about this book or Never Split the Difference. They're both good books. Good books. Reginald says good stuff. And here we go. Eric says, I will definitely rewatch this. Nice. And Steve says, it's good, Joe. Going over cases, always good. Bobby, very much, Joe. Thanks. And Carrie, yes, I love this. Definitely watch this again. And save in my playlist. Nice. Very good. Okay. Well, thank you, Io.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Let me move that to here. Good. Go to, if you want to get all my previous podcast episodes, guys, go to Real Estate Investing Mastery Podcast and just Google that and you'll find it. One more thing here. If you want, I talked about it before. If you want this course that I created called the Z Code, it's just $97 to learn how to get tons of leads on Zillow. Go to zcodejoe.com. And if you want my free book, go to wlobook.com and get it for free. Just pay shipping and handling. And thanks again, Io. I appreciate having you on the show, man. Have a good one. Take care.
Thank you, Joe. Take care.
We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.
Bye.